How you doing? It's New Year's Eve. Uh, Happy New Year. It should be a good New Year. I think it's going to be a good year. I really do. Bottom line, it's all how you see it. It's up to how you see things. All right, so this is going to be hopefully a quick video. It's unboxing, and I got this package from a guy from back home. It's really interesting. I don't really know this guy. His name's Eddie, and Eddie Okinski. Good dude. I don't recall hanging out with Ed. I've had nothing but respect for this guy, though, for years. And I like him, even though I don't really think we ever hung. And how we know each other is because of the surfer community back home, right? Some of my best bros, man, best guys on the planet are surfers. And it's a little town in New Jersey, Seaside Park, New Jersey. And I've been surfing since I was about 15. I got a late start. I moved down there to live again by myself when I was like 15, 10th grade, the summer before 10th grade. And I knew a couple guys from town that lived on my block on 3rd Ave in Seaside Park that surfed, and they gave me a board. Nobody ever gave me any tips. I was never a great surfer, especially back then. And when I got out of the service, I went over to Grog's and I bought a longboard there, which I don't think I ever fully paid for. Was it that or the wetsuit? I don't remember. Sorry. And that's when I really did it a lot. I've got this guy, Carl, great dude back home. And there was this one season in particular where Carl, every day he'd come by my house after work. And we were either surfing if there was waves, or we were body surfing if there was just small stuff, or we were running on the beach and jumping in the water, working out. We used to ride bikes down to the Ann Island Beach State Park all the time. We're all pretty fit dudes, and we all still are pretty fit dudes, and you have to stay that way. It's funny, most surfers that are surfing actively, regularly, stay in pretty good shape. You have to stay in shape. Paddling is a friggin' workout. They're all like little gorillas. And this guy, it's funny. I think back and I hear, you see yourself one way and then everybody else sees you as another, in another light. That's just how it is. You learn. When I studied acting out here, I took all these acting classes and did it in college and came out here and got into it. And that's when you really learn that, because you would do these exercises where you go out in public and you're out in this area and there's fellow actors out there with clipboards, and they walk up to strangers and they ask what the stranger's opinion is of the other actor that's standing over there, based on how you carry yourself, how you're dressed, how you looked, just normal perception. And then you come back to class and then you get to know how the world actually sees you, because we all see ourselves a different way. Pardon me. And when I was young, I was a boy. My package of hormones didn't kick in until much later in life. I did lift weights and I probably had some size, and that's what people do remember, but I never saw it that way. I was a pudgy little kid when I graduated high school, I felt like, and I was shorter. I grew an inch, and I have to think. When I got out of boot camp, I weighed about 148 pounds with a 36-inch chest. When I went in, I was 160 pounds, pudgy. And then within a year, less than a year, like 6 months or something, I grew an inch. I grew from 5'8" to 5'9", and I went from 148 pounds with a 36-inch chest to 185 pounds with a 48-inch chest, which is pretty much what I am now. I'm heavier. I'm probably between 195 and 200 if I had to guess. I haven't weighed myself in a while. I gotta get back in shape. At any rate, when I was young, there were guys like this guy, Eddie O, who, they were just studs, man. Like, there's a group of these dudes that were just, they all looked like men to me. Because to me, I saw myself as this boy. And they were intimidating in a way, because they were all just so good at the surfing. But they were putting the time in. If I would have put the time in, I would have become a better surfer. I was too busy fucking, really. I mean, that's what it boils down to. it's, it's a joke, but there's truth in jest, you know. So I always kind of looked up to these guys. And today we still get together. When I'm home, I surf with my bros, and it's a great time. A couple of my friends just got back from El Salvador. I was there last year sometime or the year before. And I'm hoping in February this year I could join a couple of my friends down in El Salvador again on a surf trip. I might financially be able to pull it off this time, depending on work, if I can get a break from that and all that other good stuff. Anyhow, Eddie's reached out to me a few times. I have to say, he's a carpenter and very good at what he does back home in Ocean County. And I know he's worked for some of the top guys. There's a guy, Kevin Casey, back home who has a construction business and only works on the highest end stuff. And he's a surfer. And his kids are surfers. Everybody's surfing back home where I come from. And they are just great guys. And I'm so happy that I'm still in touch with them. I called Carl the other day. We were talking, and Eddie O came up, and he was telling me, yeah, he's not surfing as much now. He's more of stand-up paddleboard. And so a lot of the older guys got into the stand-up paddleboard, and they took it to him, my buddy Mark Colino, of course, the legend, Buck Walters, who's like in his 70s, and he can still beat the crap out of like jacked guys in their 30s and 20s for sure these days. They're all avid stand-up paddleboarders, and I guess Eddie O here, and I know Mark, they enter these competitions all over the planet and win. You know, stand-up paddleboard around Manhattan and all that sort of stuff. And so I've got nothing but respect for that. And we had a friend, Erin. She's not with us anymore. Erin Ryan passed a couple of years ago. It was real sad. I'm not going to get into that whole history with her, but she had this house she built in Seaside right at the marina there. Kind of looks like a castle. And I stayed there one time when I was there for a few weeks. Did a little work on the house. I did do a wall for her with a mantle with shiplap and all that. And then I designed her interior for her and told her, here's what you should do here. And she ended up hiring Eddie to do the job. And when I went back the next season and looked at it, I was very impressed with what he did. So I know he's good at what he does. He's a highly respected dude. I respect him. And hopefully one of these days we'll actually get to hang out. He reaches out to me from time to time. This is just a nice man. Just a nice dude. And another thing about these guys, and I know specifically with him, I had this in my brain. The guy looked like a friggin' model. He looks like a fucking model. Do I sound a little gay? This is not about that. Although I am. I'm happy. I'm happy. In the truest sense of the word, I'm a happy guy. But I always looked up to these guys. And he was kind of like, Carl said it. He was the Aki of our time. Like, if you know the surfing culture in the 1980s and who Aki was with surfing, you'll get it. I think that and Laird Hamilton. You know, Laird Hamilton had those chiseled good looks. He was in all the surfer movies and everything. And it's just a thing, man. When you know what I'm saying. You know, you do an activity, and then there's other guys around that just excel at it. You can't help but be like enamored by it. Like, man, that's impressive. And when there's these moments I remember in the water, because I always felt like I was a kind of a kook in the water. The good thing is for me is I could be a kook in the water for a couple reasons. One, I look like I can take care of myself. And the other one is I was good friends with all the best surfers. So nobody's really fucking with me too much. There's a couple guys that were brothers and they're not with us anymore. There's a sadness about it. Because a lot of the surfer bros aren't with us anymore. And we talk about it when we get together. It's really, I don't want to get emotional about it, but you know, a lot of these guys, substance abuse, suicide, things like that. It's really sad. And every one of them I can think of, I only remember them all in good spirits, like always with a big smile on their face, always wanting to laugh and have a good time, wanting to just surf and enjoy themselves and their friends, and they were all loved. And it's just a sad thing that they're not with us anymore. And I mostly remember them from weird compliments I would get in the water. There were the Kelly brothers, man. and I forget which one because I'd always get them mixed up. But I just remember I was on the surfing longboard, decent size, and I catch this wave and I come down and I do this perfect bottom turn. I got enough weight on my back foot and I just push into that and I kick around, and I'd surf a little bit. And as I'm doing the bottom turn, one of these Kelly brothers is paddling over the wave in front of me and he's looking at me. So I do this, I surf the wave, and I had this great dismount. When I got to the end of the wave where I would just put my rear foot on the tail of the board and lift my front foot and pivot. So I pivot the board up in the air out of the water, pointing back towards the horizon, and then lay on it with my chest and fall down and just paddle. I had this shit down, right? My favorite thing was these little techniques for myself. I wasn't a shortboard guy whipping off the lip and all that stuff. I just wasn't that guy. And I was always thicker than most of the fellas. Matter of fact, when I was home a few years ago, my buddy Carl, I told this the other day because it's just a nice compliment. It doesn't mean anything. But he paddled up to me in the water a few years ago. He's like, dude, you're the biggest guy in the water. So it's been hard to find a board that would float me, a shorter board. I got one the last time I was home. I got a Stoke board. It's a 60-liter board. It's like a 710. And the first time I surfed it, I popped right up and I was doing shit like that I've never did before. So I'm excited about that. And that's the board I'll bring with me down to El Salvador if I can make it in February. Anyhow, I do that classic bottom turn and I get out, I paddle back out, and I forget which brother it was, but he looks at me and goes, dude, classic bottom turn. That coming from a guy that you respect, this guy's been in magazines and all that stuff, and all my friends, most of them were sponsored. They're getting all their surf clothes for free and boards and wetsuits and all that stuff. That's cool, man. So again, I've got nothing but respect for all of these dudes. I miss every one of them, and I don't even surf out here. I live in California. I don't even surf out here. You know why? The drive. You get and I'm also alone. I don't really know anybody to surf with, and it's more fun when you got a buddy to share it with out there. And I'm not consistent enough to, I don't know, I'm just not, it's weird. I just want to surf when I'm home. That's basically what it is. At any rate, Eddie, I guess, saw that I was into watches, and he sent me a thing, and he said he was going to send me this watch. And I said, okay, It looked like a cool watch. I was like, are you sure you want to do this? He's like, yeah, man. So let's see what it is here. He just found, this is a funny thing with this watch hobby, because I've gotten a lot of you guys back into it, and you're finding watches in your watch drawers and everything, and you should be wearing these watches. Like, you sure you want to send this to me? It's a cool watch. You could be wearing this watch. Ooh. It's running. Oh, it sounds funny. It's an automatic. It's a good-looking watch. It's a vintage Timex. See if we can get it on screen for you there. Hope that's a good-looking watch, right? Classic. This would look really good on a cuff or a bund strap. It's got this domed acrylic. Ooh, is that right? No, that's okay. It's got a domed acrylic crystal, which is always cool. Hope this is reading on camera. I can't see what you guys are seeing. I'm sure it's a push-pull. The movement feels loose. Movement holder might need a little. It's a push-pull crown. It's 4 after noon. We'll see how this works. It's a good size, it's not a bad size watch. That's probably about a 38 millimeter, if I'm guessing, which is about the smallest I'd like to wear personally. This is a smart, Ed, dude, thank you. To send you a copy of this link here. I don't normally wear glasses. I don't need to wear them very often, but the print on here is such. So it is water resistant, self-wind, dust resistant, base metal stainless steel, all the common stuff on the back. candlelight. Let's see here. Water resistant, automatic, Timex. Cool. Ed, thank you so much. I always knew you were a cool dude, man. Very cool. So, I owe you a beer next time I see you, next time I'm in town. We have to get together. That's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, it's New Year's Eve. Have a good time tonight, but be careful. Do the designated driver thing, or Uber or something. And remember to be kind to one another. Be nice. Do a nice thing. Say something nice to somebody. Look how nice that was. I can feel this movement moving. I'm going to bring it to the watch shop next week. And we'll open this up and we'll take a look at it and see what's going on. And then I'll make a cool band for it. And it's going to be bitching. A healthy, happy, prosperous 2026 for all. I'll catch you in the next video.